The Council of Stars had gathered for the first time in 300 years. Inside the great crystal dome that floated between galaxies, representatives from 57 advanced civilizations sat in worried silence. At the center, Elder Kron stood up slowly. His species, the Ancients, had lived for millions of years. They had seen empires rise and fall like waves on a beach. "We have called you here because of Earth," Kron said. His voice echoed through the dome like thunder. The other aliens looked at each other in confusion. Earth? That small blue planet in the outer arm of the Milky Way? The primitive world they had discovered just 50 years ago? "What about Earth?" asked Commander Vex from the Warrior Alliance. "They barely have space travel. Their ships can't even leave their own solar system properly." Elder Kron touched a crystal, and images filled the air. Pictures of humans doing impossible things. A human lifting a vehicle to save a child. Another human surviving in frozen ice for hours. A group of humans working together to build a city in just months after a disaster. "You see their bodies as weak," Kron said. "You see their technology as primitive, but you do not see what we see." He paused, his 4 eyes closing. "We have studied thousands of species. We have watched civilizations grow from mud to stars. But humans are different." "Different how?" asked Queen Terra of the Machine Empire. Her mechanical voice showed no emotion, but her sensors were recording everything. "They adapt," Kron said simply. "Not over millions of years like us. Not through genetic engineering like the builders. They adapt in single lifetimes. Sometimes in mere moments." He showed more images. Humans in deserts. Humans under oceans. Humans in space stations. Humans everywhere, surviving everything. "Our scientists gave him a problem that took us 1,000 years to solve," Kron continued. "They solved it in 6 months, not because they are smarter, but because they think differently, chaotically, beautifully, terrifyingly." The room grew colder. Several species shifted nervously in their seats. "And there is more," Elder Kron sighed. His voice dropped lower. "They have something we have never seen before. They call it hope. Even when logic says they should surrender, they continue. Even when death is certain, they fight. Even when alone against the universe, they believe they can win." "So what do you suggest?" Commander Vex asked. "Should we destroy them before they become a threat?" The entire room turned to look at him. Elder Kron's eyes blazed with ancient fury. "Fool," he roared. "That is exactly what you must not do. We made that mistake with species 9741. We tried to destroy them when they were weak. Do you know what happened? The survivors became stronger. They learned from our attacks. They turned our own weapons against us. It took the combined might of 30 civilizations to contain them." "Then what?" Queen Terra asked. "We watch," Kron said. "We guide if we can. We pray they choose peace. But we do not, under any circumstances, make them our enemy." He looked around the room, meeting every gaze. "The humans have a saying, 'What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.' For them, this is not just words. It is their nature." The council sat in silence, processing this warning. Outside the dome, stars twinkled peacefully. But inside, every species now looked toward that small blue planet with a mixture of fear and fascination. "Mark my words, Elder," Kron said as the meeting ended. "Humanity will rise. The question is not if, but how. And whether the galaxy will rise with them, or fall before them." As the representatives left, none noticed the small human probe that had been listening from behind a nearby asteroid. On Earth, in a secret facility, General Smith turned off the recording and smiled. "So they know," he said to his team. "Good. Let them know. Let them all know. Humanity is coming." The probe self-destructed, leaving no trace. But the message had been received. The galaxy had been warned. And humanity had heard every word. 3 years had passed since the Council's warning. Most civilizations had chosen to observe Earth from a safe distance, but the Dominion Empire had different ideas. They were warriors, conquerors who had never lost a war in 10,000 years. They thought the elders were old fools, scared of shadows. Admiral Zack stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at Earth through the view screen. Such a small planet, such primitive defenses. They had nuclear weapons, yes, but the Dominion shields could handle 1,000 such explosions. Send the message, Zack ordered. The transmission was simple. People of Earth, you will surrender your planet to the Dominion Empire. You have one rotation of your planet to comply. Resistance will result in extinction. On Earth, the message was received in every language simultaneously. The United Earth government called an emergency meeting. President Johnson, a former soldier himself, read the alien message twice before speaking. "Well," he said to his advisors, "I guess they didn't read the history books." "Sir?" asked Defense Minister Ali. "Every time someone tells humanity to surrender, we do the opposite," Johnson said. He turned to General Smith. "How long do we need?" "Give me 12 hours," Smith replied. The aliens waited, confident. They had conquered hundreds of worlds this way. Fear was a powerful weapon. But as Earth's rotation continued, something strange happened. Instead of panic, Earth became quiet. 2 quiet cities evacuated in perfect order. Military bases went dark. Satellites stopped transmitting. It was as if humanity had vanished. Admiral Zack laughed. "They hide like scared animals. Begin the invasion." 1,000 Dominion ships descended toward Earth. Their sensors showed no resistance, no weapons firing. Just empty cities and silent military bases. The first ships landed in major cities around the world. Soldiers marched out, weapons ready. That's when the trap was sprung. Every single piece of human technology suddenly came alive. Cars drove themselves into alien ships. Phones exploded in electromagnetic pulses. Power lines wrapped around alien. Soldiers like snakes. Buildings collapsed in controlled demolitions, taking entire alien squads with them. But that was just the beginning. From underground bunkers, humanity emerged, not as soldiers, but as something else. They had spent 12 hours not preparing weapons, but preparing themselves. Every human had been given a choice, fight or hide. Those who chose to fight had been enhanced with emergency combat drugs, experimental technology, and most importantly, the complete military history of humanity downloaded directly into their brains. A teacher became a sniper. A doctor became a demolitions expert. A street cleaner became a guerrilla warfare specialist. In 12 hours, Earth's population had become Earth's army. The Dominion soldiers were confused. They were fighting not millions of soldiers, but billions of warriors. Worse, the humans weren't fighting like any species they had encountered. They didn't form battle lines or follow predictable patterns. They attacked from everywhere and nowhere. They used everything as weapons. They turned the aliens' own technology against the dock in New York. A group of teenagers hacked a Dominion tank and used it to destroy 3 others. In Tokyo, elderly people led aliens into trap after trap, using their knowledge of the city's hidden passages. In London, children acted as spotters, using toys to send coded messages to resistance fighters. Admiral Zack watched in horror as his invasion force was torn apart. "How?" he screamed. "They're primitives. They don't have energy weapons. They don't have shields." His science officer looked up from his console, his face pale. "SIR, they don't need them. They're using our strengths against us. Our shields are designed for energy weapons, not physical attacks. Our armor is built for laser fire, not chemical explosives. Our tactics assume organized military resistance, not ... this. On Earth, President Johnson stood in the command bunker, watching the alien forces retreat. General Smith approached with a tablet. "Sir, we've captured 300 alien soldiers and 17 ships. The rest are fleeing." "Let them go," Johnson said, "but make sure they take a message back." As the Dominion fleet limped away from Earth, they received one final transmission. It was a simple video of President Johnson standing in front of the flags of all Earth's nations. "This is Earth," he said calmly. "We did not want war. We do not seek conquest. But if you come to our world with threats and weapons, you will. Find that every human is a warrior, every object is a weapon, and every moment is an opportunity to resist. We are humanity. We do not surrender. We overcome." The message ended with something that chilled Admiral Zack to his core, a compilation of every war humanity had fought among themselves, showing centuries of combat, adaptation, and survival. Dominion Empire never came back to Earth, and across the galaxy, the Elder's warning suddenly didn't seem so foolish. Asterisk. The captured Dominion ships changed everything. Within days of the failed invasion, human scientists and engineers swarmed over the alien technology like ants on honey. What they found should have taken centuries to understand. The Dominions. Technology was based on principles that humanity had only theorized about, but humans did something unexpected. Instead of trying to understand everything, they simply started taking things apart and putting them back together. Like children with new toys, they played with the alien technology until it made sense to them. Dr. Maria Rodriguez stood in the main research facility, surrounded by alien machinery. She had been a car mechanic before becoming a physicist. That unique background gave her a different perspective. "Everyone's overthinking this," she announced to her team. "Look, this engine doesn't work on different principles than ours. It just skips steps we thought were necessary." She grabbed a wrench and started disconnecting pieces. The other scientists watched in horror as she basically performed surgery with construction tools. But within hours, she had the engine running. Not perfectly, not efficiently, but running. That was the human way. Make it work first, understand it later, perfect it eventually. Within 6 months, Earth had reverse-engineered most of the Dominion technology. But they didn't just copy it. They improved it. They combined it with human technology in ways that no alien species had imagined. The Galactic Council watched in disbelief. Species usually took millennia to advance from nuclear power to faster-than-light travel. Humans did it in half a year. And they didn't do it the way everyone else had. They did it the human way, messy, chaotic, and impossibly effective. Captain Tom Baker was chosen to pilot humanity's first FTL ship. It was ugly by galactic standards, a mix of human and alien technology welded together with more enthusiasm than elegance. The aliens who saw it described it as a flying scrapyard. But it worked. "Ready for launch, Captain," his crew reported. Tom grinned. "Let's show the galaxy what humans can do with hand-me-down tech and some duct tape." The ship, named Hope, launched from Earth with a simple mission: explore, learn, and make friends if possible. But what happened next shocked everyone, including the humans. The Hope didn't just travel through space. It somehow traveled faster than even the most advanced civilization's ships. When the Galactic Council investigated, they discovered why. Humans hadn't followed the manual. They had looked at FTL technology and thought, what if we do this instead? They had accidentally discovered a new form of faster-than-light travel that the galaxy's greatest minds had missed for millions of years. Not because humans were smarter, but because they weren't afraid to try stupid ideas. Ambassador Cree of the Science Collective met with Captain Baker at the first official diplomatic meeting between Earth and alien civilizations. "How did you improve our technology so quickly?" Cree asked. Tom laughed. "Improve? We just made it work for us. See, you folks build things to last forever and work perfectly. We build things to work good enough, then fix them when they break. Your engine was too perfect. We made it imperfect, and somehow that made it better." The implications were staggering. If humans could improve Dominion technology in 6 months, what could they do with the entire galaxy's knowledge? Elder Kron watched from his ancient ship, nodding slowly. "It has begun," he said to his fellow elders. "They don't just adapt to the universe. They adapt the universe to them." On Earth, the technology revolution had started. Within a year, humanity had gone from a single planet species to having colonies on 12 worlds. They didn't terraform planets the way other species did, slowly and carefully over centuries. They landed, built domes, and figured out the rest as they went. Each colony was different, adapted to its specific world in unique ways. The Ice World colony used the cold for superconducting technology. The Desert World colony developed solar technology that put other civilizations to shame. The Water World colony created underwater cities that worked better than anything built on land. President Johnson stood before the United Earth Assembly with a proposal that would have seemed insane just 2 years ago. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "we stand at a crossroads. We can join the Galactic Council as junior members, slowly earning our place over millennia. Or we can show them that humanity brings something new to the table. I propose we share our improvements to their technology freely, but on one condition: they share all their knowledge with us." The Assembly voted unanimously in favor. The galaxy watched nervously as humanity prepared to make its true entrance onto the galactic stage. The Elder's warning echoed in everyone's minds. Humanity was rising, and nobody could stop it. But the question remained: would humanity's rise lift all civilizations, or would it change the galaxy forever in ways no one could predict? 2 years after humanity's technology leap, the galaxy faced its greatest threat in a million years. The Void Swarm had returned, an ancient enemy that consumed entire star systems, leaving nothing but darkness. Every civilization in the galaxy had fallen back, abandoning 70 systems to the unstoppable hunger of the swarm. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Species that had been enemies for millennia now argued about survival. The Machine Empire calculated a 13% chance of galactic survival. The Warrior Alliance proposed a final stand that would likely fail. The Builder Collective suggested abandoning half the galaxy to save the other half. Then humanity's representative, Ambassador David Park, stood up. The room fell silent. In just 2 years, humanity had earned respect through their unconventional solutions to impossible problems. "We have a plan," David said simply. Queen Tira's mechanical voice responded first. "You have been spacefaring for only 2 years. What could you possibly know about fighting the Void Swarm?" David smiled. "We don't know anything about fighting them, but we know everything about fighting unwinnable wars. Show of hands. How many species here have ever won a war when outnumbered 1,000 to 1? No hands rose except David's. "Humanity has," he continued, "multiple times. Against ourselves, against nature, against extinction. We propose something different. Not a defensive war, but an offensive one." The room erupted in discussion. Elder Kron silenced them with a gesture. "Speak, human. What do you propose?" David activated a hologram showing the galaxy. Red dots marked swarm positions. Blue dots marked allied forces. Then gold dots appeared everywhere, thousands of them. Every human colony ship, cargo vessel, and even pleasure craft has been retrofitted with weapons, David explained. Not powerful weapons, not advanced weapons, but weird weapons. Things we invented last week. Things that shouldn't work but do. Commander Vex laughed bitterly. You plan to fight the Void Swarm with cargo ships? No, David said. We plan to confuse them. The swarm adapts to threats, right? They learn and counter whatever weapons you use. But what if we use different weapons every time? What if we never use the same tactic twice? He showed battle simulations. Human ships attacking, with everything from antimatter bombs to weaponized music. From biological viruses designed to eat metal to gravity wells that turn space inside out. This is insanity, someone shouted. Yes, David agreed enthusiastically. That's the point. The swarm has fought logical enemies for millions of years. They've never fought humans. They've never fought crazy. Elder Kron stood slowly. And what do you need from us? Everything, David said. Every ship you can spare. Every weapon you've abandoned as obsolete. Every failed experiment. Every crazy idea your scientists said wouldn't work. Give us your junk, and we'll turn it into victory. The vote was close, but desperation won. The galaxy would follow humanity's lead. The first battle was a disaster for the swarm. Human ships appeared from nowhere, not using traditional hyperspace, but the jury-rigged FTL drives that shouldn't exist. One ship fired teddy bears that exploded into antimatter. Another played Earth music so loud it disrupted the swarm's communication. A cargo hauler rammed straight through a swarm mothership while broadcasting ancient Earth movies. The swarm tried to adapt. But how do you adapt? To chaos? Every time they countered one human tactic, 10 new ones appeared. Humans were strapping engines to asteroids and riding them into battle. They were using kitchen appliances as weapons. They were painting their ships bright pink just to see if it would confuse swarm sensors. It did. But the real genius was the coordination. Admiral Lisa Chang commanded the Allied fleet from Earth's flagship, Never Surrender. She didn't give traditional orders. She gave goals and let each ship figure out how to achieve them. Objective: make that swarm cluster go away, she would say. One ship might use lasers. Another might use nuclear mines. A human ship might fly. A giant magnet at them, because why not? The Warrior Alliance warriors found themselves laughing in battle for the first time. The Machine Empire's calculations couldn't predict success rates because humans kept doing impossible things. The Builder Collective watched humans turn their 1,000-year-old stations into battering rams with duct tape and determination dot. In 3 months, the swarm was pushed back from 30 systems. In 6 months, they were in full retreat. For the first time in galactic history, the Void Swarm sent a message. What are you? Admiral Chang responded, We're humans. We're the species that looked at space and said, we can walk on that. We're the ones who split atoms because we were curious. We're the people who see impossible odds and ask, is that all? We are humanity, and we protect our friends. The swarm retreated beyond the galactic edge and never returned. They had conquered galaxies, destroyed countless civilizations, but they had never encountered anything like humanity's organized chaos. Asterisk. 5 years had passed since humanity joined the galactic community. The galaxy had changed more in those 5 years than in the previous million. The Council of Stars reconvened, but this time it was different. Humans sat at the high table, not because they had earned it through time, but because they had earned it through action. Elder Kron looked older, but his eyes held something new, hope. We gathered once to warn about humanity, he began. Today, we gather to thank them. The accomplishments were listed. Humans had ended the Void Swarm threat. They had solved the energy crisis by figuring out how to harness black holes with equipment made from salvaged parts. They had connected distant civilizations with their chaotic FTL network that somehow worked better than planned routes. But most importantly, they had changed how the galaxy thought. The machine empire had started experimenting with controlled imperfection after seeing human success with imprecise solutions. The Warrior Alliance had learned that victory didn't always mean strength. Sometimes it meant being too stubborn to lose. The Builder Collective had discovered that sometimes the best design was no design at all. Just build it and fix problems as they appeared. President Johnson, now gray-haired but still energetic, stood to address the council. "Friends," he said, and meant it. "When we first heard your warning about humanity, we had a choice. We could have become the threat you feared. We could have conquered and destroyed." He paused, looking at each species representative. "But that's not who we are. Humans don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to thrive. And we learned something important. We thrive best when everyone thrives with us." He activated a display showing the new galactic map. Trade routes crisscrossed between civilizations that had been isolated for millennia. Former enemies worked together on human-designed stations that required cooperation to function. Colony worlds flourished with mixed populations learning from each other. "You warned the galaxy about humanity's rise," Johnson continued. "You were right to be cautious. But you were wrong about one thing. You assumed we would rise alone. Instead, we chose to lift everyone with us." The human philosophy had spread throughout the galaxy. Good enough was better than perfect, but never finished. Try it and see replaced study it for centuries. Why not became more common than that's impossible. Young aliens attended human schools to learn not just science, but creativity. Human children went to alien worlds to learn patience and wisdom. The exchange of ideas flowed both ways, creating something new, a galactic civilization that was more than the sum of its parts. Captain Tom Baker, now an admiral, had established the Exploration Corps, a mixed species organization that pushed the boundaries of known space. They found new worlds, new resources, and new challenges to overcome together. Dr. Maria Rodriguez had founded the Crazy Ideas Institute, where failed experiments from all species were given second chances with human creativity. Half the inventions shouldn't work. Most of them did anyway. General Smith, retired but still consulted, had created the Galactic Defense Force, not to fight wars, but to prevent them. The motto, "We're too busy exploring to fight each other." But perhaps the most important change was the mentor program. Elder species paired with younger ones, including humanity, to share knowledge both ways. The ancients learned enthusiasm from humans. Humans learned patience from the ancients. Both grew stronger. Ambassador David Park, now Secretary of Galactic Affairs, presented the new charter for the Council. "We propose that the Council no longer be based on age or power," he said. "Instead, let it be based on contribution. Not what you have, but what you share. Not how strong you are, but how you help others become strong." The vote was unanimous. As the ceremony ended, Elder Kron approached President Johnson privately. "We warned them about you," Kron said quietly. "We feared what you might become." Johnson nodded. "What do you think now?" Kron's 4 eyes sparkled with something like joy. "You became exactly what the galaxy needed. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but catalysts. You changed us all, and we are better for it." "We're not done," Johnson said with a grin. "There are other galaxies out there, other challenges, other friends we haven't met yet." Kron laughed, a sound like distant thunder. "Of course you're not done. You're human. You're never done." As Earth's sun set over the Pacific, casting gold light through the windows of the Galactic Council, representatives of 100 species looked toward the future. It was uncertain, chaotic, and full of impossible challenges. It was perfectly human. and for the first time in galactic history, everyone was excited to see what came next. The elders had warned the galaxy about humanity's rise. They were right. No one could stop it, but in the end, no one wanted to. The end asterisk.